Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to warmly welcome you all joining us from around the world to our webinar on the topic Managing Human Capital Under Geopolitical Uncertainty. We are truly delightful to have you all with us. I'm Anika Suhail. I'm an assistant professor at Human Resource Studies Department at Tilburg University in the Netherlands. I'm also serving as an HR Division Ambassador for Pakistan and Ambassador Representative on HR Division Executive Committee. In today's webinar, we are very privileged to have a team of ambassadors from HR Division who are joining us and who has made this webinar possible. I am representing Pakistan and we have colleagues from UAE, Africa, and 2 European countries. I would like to request them to briefly share themselves, their name, what they are doing in their profession, and HR Division Ambassador from which country. Maybe Faisal, we can start from you.
All right, thank you, Anika, for inviting all of us onto this exciting webinar. My name is Mohammed Faisal. I'm an assistant professor of human resource management at Abu Dhabi University in UAE, and I also serve as an HR ambassador, in fact, co-ambassador for the UAE region. Thank you. Over to you, maybe Petra.
Yes, hi all together. My name is Petra Kipfelsberger. I'm an associate professor at BI Norwegian Business School, and I'm serving as an HR ambassador for Norway now. Who would like to go next from the ambassadors?
Mazhar, maybe you can do that.
Sure. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Mazhar Javed, working as Associate Professor at Rabat Business School, International University of Rabat for the last 3 years, and I'm working as representing the Morocco as Ambassador of HR Department.
And finally, we also have one more ambassador, Laura Orilla. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us because of another meeting, but she has helped us made this webinar and organize this webinar. Laura is assistant professor at University of Vasa, Finland, and she is ambassador for Finland as well. So this webinar, which we are here today, marks the third session in an ongoing series of webinars aimed at fostering scholarly dialogue in human resource management. We are excited to continue this initiative through HR Division Ambassador Platform, which is part of Academy of Management, creating opportunities for meaningful conversations and knowledge exchange among scholars and practitioners around the globe. Today, we are honored to host a distinguished panel comprising of 2 leading academic scholars and 2 experienced practitioners. Through their diverse perspective, we will explore how human capital management can help organizations and employees navigate and thrive in a complex and uncertain environment. I'm sure many of us are facing these uncertainties in our own organization, and today's discussion will provide valuable insights, practitioner strategies, and evidence-based perspective on how to respond them effectively. Before I begin, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our guest speakers who have graciously accepted our request, and we look forward to their perspective on this important topic. The format for today's webinar is simple. We will start with our presentations for about 15 minutes for each presenter, followed by a question-answer session, which will be moderated by Dr. Faisal. I would request all the participants to please share their questions in the chat or hold on to them. We will have the opportunity in the end to interact with the speakers and ask their questions themselves. Without further ado, I am honored to introduce our first speaker, Professor Fang Li Cook. She's a distinguished professor at Monash University's Faculty of Business and Economics. She's a fellow of Academy of Social Sciences in Australia and also part of International Labour Organization Research Review Group. Professor Cook is recognized among top 2% of scientists globally for citation impact, and also recognized highly ranked by Global GPS in May 2026. Her research spans from strategic human resource management, employment relation, diversity, and future of work. And she has worked with a variety of scholars from around the world. Professor Cook, we are very delightful to hear your perspective. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sun Hao, and also thank the panel for inviting me to, or for the host for inviting me to share my thoughts here. So I will share the screen. Oh, I cannot see it. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, thank you. So my presentation today is about putting people at the center during the geopolitical tension and what implication there may be for human resource management. Sorry, let me just use my, it doesn't work. I'll move that out. Sorry, it's just, it wouldn't work. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that, and technology always fails me. So the overview is, I want to mention just two things. One is basically drawing on two pieces of research that I've been doing. One is on the international sanction and implications for human resource management, especially for multinational companies. And the second one is about geopolitical tensions and social cohesion as we are increasingly facing at the moment in different parts of the world. So in terms of international sanction, just want to give a brief definition. So it is about international sanctions are coercive instruments of statecraft that senders adopt to compel a behavioral change in their targets, but they can also be used to constrain their targets' power and ostracize them. So that's the kind of brief definition. And there is not a lot of time to talk about various types of sanction. So I just focus on the economic sanction here. And economic sanction, as we have seen, is causing a lot of disruption in the global supply chain and in the global business and for multinational as well. So there is significant implications for workers' well-being. And that is why I focus my topic on people-centered. And so, but the impact of sanction differs according to different industries. Some industries are more exposed to the global supply chain and to the international kind of global shock. So, for example, the shipping industry, as we have seen, so there is a big disruption there because of the sanction and because of the military conflict as well. Then it also affects the human capital supply. For example, cross-border, there has been a long history of collaboration between developed countries and developing countries. And some of the developing countries are being sanctioned. And when they're being sanctioned, then the developed countries may not be able to collaborate. I mean, universities, R&D centers, and high-tech companies may not be able to collaborate with institutions in developing countries that are being sanctioned. So therefore, there will be reduced training and education opportunity, and as a consequence, human capital development as well. And that also has a knock-on effect about the international mobility of human resources and capital and talent. So in a sense, because, for example, United States and some other developed countries, they are increasingly being very strict in allowing individuals talent, including talents from certain countries, to go to work in their country. So there is lots of visa restriction issues, etc. So, and even without visa restrictions, there may be some restrictions in terms of what kind of discipline you can work in. So that cause restriction here is a brief example. The international mobility of people, because of the US and China competition or rivalry, we are seeing quite a lot of repatriation of Chinese scientists from the United States. And also, low-skilled temporary migrant workers, they may be forced out of the sanctioning country or from the sanctioned country as well. And many of them are undocumented. Then we also see refugees are increasingly going to different countries. For example, we have seen quite a lot of refugees in Europe, developed European countries, and that has created social tensions, as we have seen recently in Belfast and in other places as well. So that caused broader kind of impact. And so when sanction happens, some companies, they may not be able to do business or trade with sanctioned countries. And these companies may be based in developed countries. And even though they may not be having direct war with or conflict with the sanctioned country, there may be ripple effect. So therefore, the sales and marketing people, and I have seen some of those staff in Australia context, because they couldn't trade with Russia when the Ukraine and Russia war started, or military conflict started. So they have lost a lot of business opportunity. Because these are smaller multinational companies, and bear in mind, not all multinational companies are large, and some of them are quite small and have limited capacity, and they may not have a global coverage. So therefore, they need to all of a sudden develop new markets, and their staff may not have the skills to develop those new markets. So that causes a lot of anxiety. There is also conflicts, kind of social tensions among workers, because, for example, Australia is a very multicultural country, and lots of migrants, and then people have different opinions and take sides on the conflict. So therefore, that's spilled into the workplace as well. Ethnic minority workers, the impact of sanctions is often felt more acutely, especially by the vulnerable groups than the elite people. And if we think human capital not just as the elite, but as the capital, then we will see that the knock-on effect, the impact may be broader on mass, on the larger workforce. There is also the gendered impact of international sanctions on employment. For example, women are more likely to be negatively impacted than men, because in some countries, especially when they are under sanction, then jobs may not be so available. Then therefore, the women may be more likely to be laid off than men or lose their jobs. For multinational companies, then we see at least there are two major implications there. One is to develop strategic management. For example, they need to develop the dynamic capabilities in order to kind of cushion the negative impact of sanction on their businesses, and to help their people develop new skills and new competencies as well. Then the other dimension for multinational company is corporate social responsibility. Multinational companies are increasingly seen as a force for good through their corporate CSR and humanitarian action. So those are really important. And especially when multinational companies, they pull out of the sanctioned country, they will leave behind a lot of employees that they will not be able to take, because they close the operations. And similarly, in cross-border trade and all that, employees may be stranded, expatriates may be affected. So therefore, companies need to do both, multinational companies. And so they not only need to develop their capability, dynamic capability, in terms of managing the risk and new opportunities. they also need to rebuild their networks, the business networks. This is particularly important because the networks may span across both within the sanctioned country and also outside the sanctioned country to have these international networks, supply chain, etc. Also, they need to develop the corporate and HR and workforce competencies as well in coping with this kind of disruption and uncertainty. At the same time, corporate multinationals, they need to exercise their humanitarianism and adopt some human-centered approach to managing their workforce, because the workforce will be stressed and their well-being may be undermined, etc. So I developed this framework here where we can do more research on in terms of these two dimensions. These two dimensions is like carrying two watermelon at the same time. So it is very difficult to combine the two dimensions into one piece of research. But nonetheless, companies need to consider all these dimensions. So this part of my presentation is based on a secondary research topic that I carried out and which was published recently in an edited volume. And we use the kind of transnational social space dynamics, that kind of framework and theory to bring together the human resource implications for multinational companies. So people who are interested can read the paper more fully. There's a lot more being covered in that paper. Then the second one I want to briefly mention because of the time constraint is that in the first topic I mentioned just now, I mainly focus on the multinational companies side. But here, even when we're not talking about multinational companies, just any companies, because the social tension, geopolitical tension, and the social cohesion is being undermined. So there is a lot more research we can engage in. So what I'm calling for is to connect human resource management research with broader societal issues. In addition to, at the moment, most of the HRM papers we receive are really mainly from the Micro Foundation, very much OB-oriented, organizational behavior oriented, which is really important. But at the same time, we can also link these more broadly to the societal issue, like social cohesion beyond the workplace. So this is a special issue that some great colleagues are editing, led by Bettina. So the special issue is being edited for human resource management. Then another special issue we're editing is the work-related violence. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to promote human resource management here, but this is the area where I'm more familiar with. So we are talking about, in this second special issue, we are talking about from workplace-based work-related violence to work-related violence. In the past, the workplace violence has been really studied from the workplace angle and talking about sexual harassment, violence, etc. But increasingly, the violence are really related to work-based because work-related, because not all work is carried out within a confined workplace. It may be in the public. Why are the police working in such a manner? And so there are, or why are nurses being attacked? And it may not be to do with, although that is also at the workplace level, but it may not be because the nurse is doing something bad, but it may be because the patients or the patient's family have unreasonable expectation, or maybe because the policy, because the health system was breaking down and there is not sufficient resources there, etc. So there are many reasons why violence take place. So we develop a framework in the paper. So we look at for example, causes of violence, it may not be individual level that they are born evil. It's not necessary that, or born with violent intention. It may not be that. It may be because they're so overworked, because the HRM policy and practices are in such a way that they are overworked. So therefore, because of the high work pressure and intensity, they just snapped because they burn out, they are stressed, and they're not having good well-being. And then it may be at the policy level, the workforce or some workers, they may not agree with the national policy because now policy are increasingly being disputed, especially related to the immigration policy, healthcare policy, etc. So therefore, we are seeing that work-related violence and HRM research can be opened up to a much broader kind of domain if we look at the multi-level of impact and also multi-level of causes that led to the violence, the work-related violence. So, and therefore, when we open up the kind of level and the space for the research, we can see that there are a lot more stakeholders in being involved. And therefore, the research is not just at the micro level, but it is multi-level kind of horizon that we can explore. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank. It was very rich and a very insightful perspective on evolving challenges and also for reflecting on how global workforce dynamics and employment relation, organizational responses have impact on everything what we are going through and help how we can help build a resilient people strategy. Also, I really want to thank you for shedding light on the special issues that HRM has. I'm sure our authors and our scholars that are listening will benefit from it. So thank you. I would now invite Petra to introduce our next speaker, Kaifeng, and followed by that.
Yeah, thank you, Anik. It's my great pleasure, to introduce Professor Kaifeng Jiang from Peking University. He holds the chair of Organization and Strategic Management at the Guanghua School of Management. His research focuses on strategic HRM, organizational climate, and work teams. With about 50 articles published in leading management journals, he's among the most productive scholars in the field of strategic HRM in the past decade. He currently serves as associate editor of Personal Psychology and has extensive editorial experiences across major journals in our field, including Academy of Management Journal, Human Resource Management, Journal of Applied Psychology, and many more. That's really impressive. His contributions have been widely recognized, including being named a Fellow of the Society for Industrial and Organizational Psychology in 2024, and currently he serves as Executive Committee at HR Division, Academy of Management. So it's our great pleasure, Kaifeng, that you are with us, and we are very curious and listening to your keynote here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction, Petra. It's very nice to meet you and having you introducing me. I have just stepped down from the PSYCH for the associate editor. I think when I send the bio to Anika, that information has not been updated yet. I will also share my screen with all of you. Again, thanks to all our ambassadors for organizing this webinar and for inviting me. And this is a very important topic. And also I agree with Fang that this is a very timely topic. I can just share something I see around me, because after I returned to China, and many firms close to me are now expanding abroad, going into new market, building operations in other countries. And almost all of them are running into some kind of challenges they simply did not expect a few years ago, because the market is there and the product is good. the workers, the people are capable and efficient, but they just keep hitting walls that are not just about business, right? So in the past, they experienced challenges coming from institutional norms, national cultures, right? They are not very familiar with. But now they experience more changes, more uncertainties or shocks that are more often driven by politics or geopolitical tensions, right? This is really what brings us to our topic today. And I also agree with found that the people-centered framing is very important. From HR professionals' perspective, we need to take care of our employees. We need to be the champion for those employees, right? I am a strategic HR scholar. So, as a strategic HR scholar, we always try to demonstrate HR matters for organizations. We deserve a table, we deserve a seat on the table, right, to make a strategic impact. So I will look at this topic from my perspective only, which is more from employers or organizations' perspective, and how do we manage human capital when the world becomes more political and unstable. So to keep things clear, I thought about these questions, and I think I would just ask 3 simple questions. And the first, what was the old logic of doing business across borders? Again, just from the people side, right? So there are different angles we can talk about doing business internationally. Second, and what does geopolitical uncertainty means, or what does geopolitical uncertainty break in that old logic? And the last one, but more importantly for the audience, probably will be from the organization side, and what can we actually do about it, right? So let's just go through each of them. I think for the last 30 years, we already got a lot of multinational corporations. They try to do business globally, right? It carried 3 basic assumptions about people, about managing people. We almost never said this out loud because they failed very obviously when you read them. And I think the first assumption is people and knowledge, they can move freely across borders. We could send an expert from one location or a country to another. We could build a team with members in 5, 6 different countries. That's where and why the remote work emerged, right? We could also share know-how or knowledge information inside the company and anywhere in the world. So movement was not that challenging or difficult. And the second assumption, where our company comes from, does not really matter. I know in IB literature, in international business research, and there is a well-known idea called the liability of foreignness. Professor Zahir wrote about this back to 30 years ago in 1995. It said that being a foreign company costs you something, right? But you don't know the local rules, maybe you don't know the local culture. However, this is the key point. Companies gradually they could overcome all of these barriers. A lot of companies right now, they already knew about this. And honestly, with the help of the AI, now everybody talk about AI, right? So with the help of AI, it is not difficult to know all those rules, norms, and cultures. And your nationality was a very small cost and not a real problem. I think this is the second assumption. And the third one, when we talk about HR, and especially strategic HR, the firm level, we always use labor productivity, financial performance as the outcomes, right? Because we want the main job of HR is to improve the efficiency. So put the right people, right person in the right place at the lowest cost. Of course, we need to care about their well-being too. But from the organization perspective, they always want to cut the waste, keep no spare, right? And a lean organization was the ideal one. It's a good organization. However, with the concern about geopolitical uncertainty, I think all the three assumptions right now are being challenged. And for example, the first one, I think the free movement right now is gone. As Fang mentioned and all the examples she gave to us, maybe right now people cannot move freely anymore. And visa issues are harder, and some countries restrict which talent can come in or go out. And in some sensitive industries or areas like chips or artificial intelligence, new technology, the export controls can even limit who a technical person is allowed to talk to. And unfortunately, even in academia, in our major in business management, this is a very soft field, right? But scholars in some places now face limits, and the limits on who they may cooperate with, on which partners their university may work with, and even on which conferences they are able to travel to. And think about that for a second. So if these limits are reaching us in universities, right, then imagine how much sharper they are inside the company, where the stakes are more commercial and strategic. So the easy flow of people and knowledge, which we usually took for granted, is blocked in many different aspects. And the second one is also reversed. Nationality right now, and does matter a lot now, right? Nationality can become a liability itself. So before, the cost was being a foreigner in general, but now the cost is specifically where you come from. In international business, people now talk about a liability of origin. And there's a term I just searched online these days. There's a term called techno-nationalism, which is from a very well-known IB scholar, Professor Yadong Luo. And for example, for companies from certain countries by itself could trigger a security review or a security concern in some other countries. So right now, your origin is now part of the company's risk. And the third one, it also challenged the assumption about the efficiency. So in the past, the efficiency is the king. Now it can turn out to be very dangerous, right? So if you build the most efficient system, one supplier, one location, no spare, and then the day one line gets cut by politics, the companies have nothing to fall back on. So the efficiency model has quietly become a very fragile model too. So behind all of this, I think there is one big change in scholar in the international business, and they call it deglobalization. For example, in 2019, and Patrice Civic and Tessie in 2019, they wrote about the world basically splitting into rival blocks. And the old belief that the globalization only moves forward, never backward, is simply gone. So from the organization side, and what do we do? What can we do, right? So I will just give all of you just the two basic suggestions from strategic HR's perspective. That the first one, I would suggest just add a new way to construct your human capital resources and to sort your people. So in our area, we have always suggest building architect employees in your organizations. And based on my thesis advisor and his advisor's work, so Deepak Snell, 1999, they talk about there's architect of human capital in the organizations. So you can differentiate employees based on how valuable they are and how rare their skills are. I want to add a third dimension or third axis to that. I want to ask a question like, how exposed is this person or is this group of employees to politics? Because the real danger now could be the overlap. It is the people who are both critical to your business and also sitting right where the politics can cut them off. So this is a danger zone and your most important capability in your most exposed place, right? So this deserves companies' attention, and you need to think about where to put the money, right? So you need to spend the money, the effort to prepare a backup options for it before anything that really happens. Basically, you can have a second source and someone who can step in, and the knowledge has already been written down. It's like you buy insurance while the building is still standing, not after the fire. This matters most, I think, for small and medium-sized companies, because right now a lot of small medium-sized company, they try to go overseas and globally doing business. And the small company usually have limited resources and they cannot afford to protect everyone, right? So it has to be sharp about where to concentrate. And the next suggestion is basically it's a very simple idea we already know. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. I actually learned the term, the real option perspective from the finance colleagues. So basically, you just don't do things in one place. You need to prepare the backups in advance. And in IB literature, there's also a serious literature talk about the real options. It sounds very technical, but the idea is simple. So when the future is not very certain, it's uncertain, keeping the freedom to switch is worth a lot to the organizations. So even though the backup is unused, even though it looks like a kind of waste, but this means three things from the HR's perspective. The first, you can build a key skill in more than just one location, one country, right? Not just one. And maybe you have different kind of backup options. And also for your critical and exposed roles, just keep a little bit spare capacity, and maybe just one more person who can step in, right? And the third one is try to train the people who can be moved or reused, not just locked into one very fixed seat. So under the old efficiency logic, I think all of this looks like a waste of money, a waste of the effort. But under the uncertainty, again, it is, I think it is insurance. And the more unstable the world, and the more the insurance is worse. All right, now let me make one more point, and then I will pass it back to our host. For me, this is kind of the most important one. Fang already talked about people are very important. We need to protect the workers, employees. This is also comes from the heart of our own field, strategic HR, or now more people call this the strategic human capital resources research area. I think the key idea is value does not just live in individuals one by one. It lives in the process through which all of us, the individuals, come together into a real team, real group, or real unit capability. So there is a model in our area proposed by Rob Pleinhardt and Tom Moliterno back to 2011. It's called the emergence process of human capital resources. So basically it means through people working side by side over time, and several skills slowly combine into something the team can do as a one. And the capability belongs not just to individual employees, it belongs to the group. And in strategic human capital literature, and this emergence process is exactly where the competitive advantage comes from over time. So this is what we must pay a lot of attention to under the geopolitical uncertainty, because geopolitical shocks do not just remove people, and they break this process of emergence, and they can disrupt this kind of emergence process. You can imagine in a location rule that puts experienced people out faster, then they can pass on what they already know, right? And you may bring in the same number of new people from the external labor market, but the real capability is already gone. And the process that built it has been cut. And so a very important task is for us is to protect the process, not just the people in it. Maybe you can write down the knowledge before people leave. You can keep some overlap. You can plan some handover very carefully. We can also combine this with the emergence of the artificial intelligence to say what AI can help us to achieve this in the future. All right, I will stop here for my sharing, and I'll open the floor to the next speaker, and also welcome the question from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Zhang, for this insightful talk. I really learned a lot about how you contrasted the old logic with the new world, and also how you made us aware of that we need to think about the process and think about a proper handover. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. I will now invite Mazhar to please introduce our next speaker, Manzoor Khan. Dr. Mazhar, you are muted.
Thank you, Anika. I'm pleased to invite Dr. Manzoor, who is currently the Chief Human Resources Officer at Khan Sahib, a known business chain across the world. He has held several HR and organizational leadership roles in large private sector organizations across the Middle East and United Kingdom. Over a 20-year career in global and multicultural environments, he has served as a trusted advisor to senior leadership on a wide range of human capital management matters. Dr. Manzoor's expertise lies in establishing robust structure for talent management and development informed by global design principles. He has developed and successfully implemented talent for growth strategies, led coaching and mentoring initiatives, and designed executive compensation and total rewards programs aimed at driving high-performance employees engagement. Dr. Manzoor holds a PhD in Human Resource Management from University of Bradford, UK. Dr. Manzoor, we are really honored to have you with us today and eager to hear you very, very valuable and practical perspective from your side. So, sir, floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mazhar. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen. struggling with this.
Yes, Dr. Madhu, we got it. It's visible.
No, I think no, that's not the one I need to
Okay.
share. I think there's some issue with my system right now. One second. Yeah. Now, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Sorry for this little hiccup.
No issue, no, please.
So again, good afternoon. It's really a privilege to join you today to discuss one of the most significant challenges facing organization globally, which is managing human capital in an era of geopolitical uncertainty. So, over the past decade, we have witnessed unprecedented disruptions from geopolitical conflicts and economic volatility to technological transformation and changing workforce expectation, especially after COVID 19. So, while these events may seem external to the organization, largely their effects are increasingly felt internally. Today, I would like to explore how HR leaders can help organizations move beyond reacting to these uncertainties and instead build a capability that enable long-term resilience and adaptability. So before I really dive into my presentation, I would like to get a sense of what is happening in your organizations. So we often talk about geopolitical uncertainties as a global issue, but its effects are experienced locally through our people, our leaders, and our workforce decisions largely. So please take a moment to answer the poll. I'm really interested in seeing which challenge is having the greatest impact on your organization. So you can join through this link. So you see, so based on the responses so far, now this is a little bit striking in a way that there is no single dominant challenge. So we can see it's widespread at the moment, although the responses are less, but still they are widespread. Okay? So now some of you are struggling with leadership capabilities, others are employee well-being, and then regulatory uncertainties and the business transformation and so on. So this diversity of response highlights an important reality at this point in time. So, which is that geopolitical uncertainty affects every organization differently, but it ultimately it manifests through people. So that is why today's conversation is not about geopolitics itself. It's about how organizations build workforce resilience in an unpredictable world, basically. So we can move on now. Historically, organizations, they used to plan around periods of stability interrupted by occasional crisis. So today, that assumption is no longer holds. And we now operate in an environment of continuous disruption. So examples are ongoing geopolitical conflict. So recent one is Iran, US, and Israel conflict. Then trade restrictions, trade fragmentation, economic uncertainty. And alongside these, we have AI disruptions impacting us, supply chain disruptions, and then labor market volatility. Now, the real challenge for organization is to develop themselves so that they can remain effective despite this constant change happening around them. So this requires a shift from efficiency-based management to a resilience-based management. And I think this was also highlighted by the previous speaker as well. That's hold a key over here. Now, again, traditionally, geopolitical risk was viewed primarily as a cause of concern for governments, investors, or to the utmost supply chain managers. But today, it's directly affecting workforce outcomes, and some of these have already been highlighted. Now, in the context of, for example, GCC, you see where we have a lot of expatriate workforce. So the visa restrictions are coming into play, which is in a way impacting the talent pipeline and a talent acquisition issue. Then mobility is severely impacted by mobility, not only from overseas workforce coming and joining here in UAE or wider region of GCC, but also within UAE as well, mobility is being impacted. Okay. Now and this is increasing the workforce cost. Now we are experiencing huge increase in managing workforce cost, which in a way will impact and is impacting the bottom line of the organizations. Then conflicts have become an employee well-being issue. Economic instability becomes a retention issue as well. Okay. So our employees' confidence are all-time low at the moment because of these conflicts happening around them. So a lot needs to be done in terms of giving them a psychological safety. Then leadership, continuous restriction are posing leadership and organizational culture challenges as well. Now, this means that managing human capital or managing human talent is no longer merely an operational concern. It is a strategic risk which now organization needs to manage and which requires board level attention. Now, let me give you the kind of what is the workforce risk landscape which we are experiencing nowadays. And I always encourage my leaders in the organization to look at these risks from two dimensions. One is external, the other one is internal. From an external perspective, it's obviously the geopolitical instability which is impacting in a huge way, which is also bringing economic volatility as well, regulatory and policy changes, immigration, visa restrictions, trade restrictions, and so on, the closure of Strait of Hormuz, and all those kind of things. And talent market dynamics externally, you see. So now we need different set of skills, as highlighted previously as well. So there is more competition for talent. So that means a very different strategy in terms of attracting talent, or in terms of even upskilling, your existing talent as well. Then technology disruption is also coming into its own way, and posing in a way risk and a threat if not being mitigated well. Then environmental and health crisis, okay, and so these are also on the way. You can't really predict them and stop them, so they will always be there alongside this geopolitical instability. And then the internal risks. So you see now the leadership and managers' effectiveness in terms of really understanding, what kind of a leadership do we need now to manage this changing landscape. Then employee well-being, stress, burnout, mental and physical health is becoming a great concern. Skill and capability gaps. Some of our skills are almost becoming obsolete. So we are experiencing real critical skill shortages, okay, especially, cross-cultural skills, cross-culture, emotional intelligence, all those kind of things are now coming into play. Employee engagement, you see, in times of these uncertainty, engagement levels are going down. So that is also an important area to be looked into. And cultural and trust deficit is on the rise in some of the organization in these extreme challenging circumstances and an environment. So now these, obviously the outcome of these risks are in a way reduced productivity, high turnovers, loss, increased workforce cost, which I highlighted, reputational damage. We are experiencing reduced agility and innovation within the organizations, and lower engagement levels and all that. And all of this is now impacting the business performance. So that's very important to understand. Now, in this slide, what I'm trying to suggest is a workforce resilience model in terms of helping the leaders in the organization to really, work on building human capital strength to thrive in uncertainty. So the first step is to really anticipate and see ahead, stay prepared, and especially have some buffers in your manpower planning in terms of, do not rely on one individual, okay? Don't put your all eggs in one basket, as highlighted previously. So these are some of the important steps, and especially do scenario plannings, okay? That, okay, if this happens, what should we be doing? And the other important thing is early detection of talent signals, you see. So now the AI and HR analytics can play an important role over here in terms of, coming up with these early talent signals, helping the organization to understand what skill shortages are there and how they may impact the organization. Then, adapt continuously. The workforce structures needs to be very agile, especially when you multinational companies operating in this part of the world, which is UAE or GCC. You see, their culture, their structures needs to be agile and aligning their local adoption as well as the global the standardization as well. That itself is a great challenge, but I think more agility is required over there. Flexible work models, rapid redeployment is a key over here, and at the end of the day, decision making has to be agile and fast. And then in terms of developing, we need to build our capability to enable growth. Reskilling, upskilling, leadership development holds the key, and career agility and mobility. Now, in the organization, we give a lot of preferences to those individuals who are ready to be to move across or ready to deploy elsewhere within the country as well as outside the country as well. So flexibility and mobility is an important aspect. In order to sustain in these challenging environments, you really need to take care of employee well-being, which is, Professor Fangli highlighted, human-centered approach holds the key. Inclusive culture, trust and psychological safety, and recognition and belonging. These are some of the important aspects which needs to be looked into in order to ensure that you are building a sustained workforce resilience capability to manage or mitigate these uncertainties around us. Now, the way I see the HR role, in a way, being shaped or being transformed is that, yes, we yesterday, if I talk about in the recent past, a lot of focus was on HR efficiency. Operational HR was used to be the defining moment. We talked about bring technology to help us to be operationally sound and operationally good at whatever we are doing. And nowadays we are all talking about alignment, which means the alignment between HR and a business strategy through strategic partnerships, managing talent, culture, being the change champion, and use of people analytics or HR analytics. But this is where we are right now. And the way I see our future is that the HR needs to be transformational. Our focus should be on impact and resilience. That's very important. So no longer we should stop fall of only aligning our strategies with the business strategy, but we should now take a step forward in terms of really measuring the impact and helping the organization to be resilient. How can we do that? Being the strategic advisor, workforce architect in terms of building the design in agile and future ready, workforce structures as well as capabilities. Okay, and the other important thing is that the way we will be able to really transform HR is through technology, but the other key important thing is data and insight, which I would be touching in my future in my upcoming slide, and then ensuring that we have a right leadership in place to guide the organization. And now this also requires a strong collaboration between HR and other functions. I also see that the future will bring a lot of emphasis on HR analytics, and the key questions which are in front of us is that as a result of these disruptions, which roles are most vulnerable? We need to really quickly understand those inside our organization. What skills shortages will emerge in times of disruption, now or in the future? Which employees are at risk of leaving? You see, retention is key. And what are the different factors which can or which will influence employee engagement? So these are some of the critical questions which needs to be answered through HR analytics, through data. And the quality of the data will hold the key. And our analytics capability is also will be one of the major enabler in the future. Okay, and the way we need to manage the organization is through insightful leadership with better insight, so that leaders get better visibility during uncertain times, basically, and they can make decisions faster. So the final reflection is the competitive advantage comes from the ability to mobilize, develop, and retain human capability under changing conditions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Manzoor, for providing your practitioner perspective, a great set of advice for the leaders, and food for thought for the listeners. Hopefully, everyone will benefit from it. Really grateful to you for your presence and participation once again. Thank you very much.
Dr. Faisal can take up from here.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Manzoor. I know a little bit of background. He was feeling very sick today, so he had to take painkillers and being here. And because of that, it made a strategic risk for me that how come I'm going to fill the void, and I'm thankful for that to Ildi stepping in on a 1 hour short notice. I'm very grateful to you, Ildi, for being here today with us. Ildi is a people and culture advisor at Thaaka Water Solution based in Abu Dhabi, UAE. She is a highly experienced leader in change management and behavioral transformation with 30 years of international experience across Europe, Asia, America, and the Middle East. And now, because she's based in Abu Dhabi, Ildi has led, before that, she's led large-scale transformation and adoption process across sectors such as in energy, utilities, retail, aviation, financial services, and pharmaceutical. So a whole lot of industry experience there. And now Ildi helping HR and business leaders, particularly in the GCC, turn digital transformation into measurable impact through cultural readiness, leadership alignment, and user adoption. So perhaps she has been living with this uncertainty for now several decades. So the floor is yours, Ildi.
Thank you very much. And a huge thank you for the previous speakers. I must say, despite my 30 years experience, I have learned a lot today. And it's as an industry participant and leader, it's fascinating to take the helicopter view of how you see the world and the role of HR. So going from Professor Cook's macro, meso, micro levels, I will take you to the quantum level, the teeny tiny little bits of the human psyche for each individual person. So as Professor Faisal said, my role is in Thaaka Water Solutions. I am an advisor for employee engagement and organizational culture change. And I've looked a lot at what exactly is happening in the world. Why do we need to deal with people in quotes, and how can we make it as simple as possible to give some support, some tangible support during geopolitical uncertainty. And originally I come from Hungary, from Eastern Europe. I've seen changes, massive political changes during the 80s and 90s. I've seen what happened during COVID and multiple wars, but simply the economy changing is causing a lot of uncertainty, and there's something happening all the time. So in the past 30 years, it doesn't even have to be worldwide, a simple, again, merger or acquisition, reorganization, outsourcing of shared service center and certain parts of the organization all lead to the same issue, which is I call any kind of uncertainty and any kind of change basically loss of control and a grieving process for any human being, no matter how big or small the change is. So what I've looked at throughout my career, and as Dr. Faisal said, I've worked in various cultures in many different countries where you could talk about cultural differences, leadership culture differences, but the bottom line that is the same on the quantum level is the human being goes from a variety of dreams and hopes to maintaining some of the basic needs, which is safety. Will I still have a job? Can I protect my family? Safety of my psyche. So physical, mental, emotional safety. And the best way to help on a quantum level human beings is to make it as easy as possible to gain control. So in the variety of roles that I've played in change management, and now at Taka Water Solutions in the UAE, part of creating a new team within our HR department, focusing on well-being and employee engagement. The very small tools and the changes that we have made are helping to make it easier to gain control. So I'm going to keep it very short, just give you a couple of examples, and then I think if anybody has additional questions, we can come back to more practical ways. The big things that were introduced when the regional conflict started this year, an immediate action that the Taka Group took was to engage an external provider for 24/7 psychological support, which is a helpline that anybody can call any employee or anybody in their family if they need to speak to somebody. And they also offer a variety of webinars and skills that people can consume if they want to. But because what is happening at work, there's an overwhelm of information that is available with how you can find all sorts of support on any of the social media channels. As part of the employee engagement team, what we started offering is easily manageable chunks of support so that people don't have to go, but we push it to them and then they can choose to consume it or not. So we have created a group of mental health first aiders that are trained by an external party to be able to notice and see when resilience fades, when people need some help. We are creating and offering mini training sessions that are available live, and we walk around and deliver these in regular team meetings, whether they are happening online or in person, on how to regain control, how to realize what we are unable to influence, because that is a skill that is required for resilience. As we heard from Mazur Khan, resilience is extremely important, and there is very little awareness of how that can be built. Again, to push information to help people see how easy it is to regain control. We have created a communication campaign that is running via our internal social channels, including our mental health first aiders and champions. We have digital signage throughout all offices, and have screensavers on all machines, and where we have staff that have no access to digital signage or computers. We have posters that are in all of the resting rooms, and we have champions on site to help with some basic resilience creation exercises. So where it is possible, we created relaxation rooms where I offer guided meditation, breathing exercises, and again, the mental health first aiders take people proactively to spaces where they can practice breathing to calm down, to manage their stress levels, and again, regain control. And one of the biggest programs that we have launched is for managers on how they can help their teams with creating regular follow-ups and noticing when people feel like they are losing control, where they're losing their resilience. So again, everything is about tiny bite-sized support opportunities. And while we are sitting in HR, one of the biggest messages that we have in our company is that the closest people who are to the humans who need help are the peers and the managers. So we're emphasizing the mental health first aiders, the champions. We have created a buddy system. Going back to Professor Jiang's note on not all eggs should be in one basket. Through the buddy system, we are encouraging managers to allow inter-team and intra-team secondments, so that we have backup through the buddy system for specific processes and the work that needs to be done. Because while there is geopolitical uncertainty, we are looking at not just our workers at work, but their family backgrounds as well. So creating the flexibility of what if the children need to study from home? What if there is illness due to the pressures in the wider family? We are there for each other. So we also created a strategy, a backup strategy, in case we ever again need to go back to remote working, or to have the support set up and can immediately be activated for any employee who temporarily needs to work remotely. So it's educating the managers, it's using informal networks within the company, while it's a leadership responsibility to take care of the well-being of our employees. Our informal networks where the buddy system works really well, mental health aiders and the employee engagement team proactively doing walkarounds throughout the whole company and working with the champions to literally pull people into our relaxation rooms and help them to breathe, so it becomes part of their day-to-day life. So my part, this is all I wanted to share, a very practical view of how we are implementing and pivoting as needed within our HR community to support our employees.
Thank you very much, Hilde, for sharing your insights on how uncertainty can lead to a loss of control and the role of culture at the quantum level, bringing the employee's perspective, particularly focusing on the engagement and well-being into our conversation. And lastly, sharing the best practices that talk about what you guys are implementing, considering in these uncertain times. So with respect to our uncertain and limited time, so just 5 minutes, I had plans of a couple of questions to all the panelists, but I would just have one question to ask from all the panel, to all the panelists. The question is simple. When we are talking about geopolitical uncertainty, it becomes an ongoing threat, not a temporary shock. What do you think or recommend should be the top 2 to 3 human capital priorities for organizations? Anyone can take it. Let's go with Fang.
I think I'll just re-emphasize something that we have noticed. It is not a particular issue in the Gulf countries. It is something that I've seen across all areas, all regions in the world. Line managers need to understand that their job is not to know the content, the business, the processes the best. They are there to be the guardians of the well-being of the humans who deliver the work. So managers do need to understand and be trained and supported in how to recognize, how to become aware, and how to make it easy to support their teams. That's my personal view on my experience.
I think sorry, if I may.
Sorry, Dr. Han.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, please, Dr.
No, please, Dr. Han, you first.
Okay, so I think I just want to add what just has been said. I think the key is obviously the employee well-being, and now this is not a region-specific, concern which we are at the moment managing or facing. It's all around the world, basically. But yes, in some part of the world, in some regions, due to certain regulations and restrictions, it's not only the individuals who are going through, or your employees who are going through such tough times, but also their families as well. Now, especially if I talk about GCC or UAE specifically. So here, obviously, we are working here through a sponsorship program. Okay, so one of the key element of that sponsorship program is that we are being sponsored by our employer. So our right to stay in this country is being governed by our relationship with our employer. Now, if that relationship somehow ceases to exist, or there is any threat to that relationship, then what happens is that the right to stay in the country is also at question. Okay, so that adds further, an element of uncertainty or a psychological challenge for some of the families and some of the individuals. So I think it's the psychological safety, it's the well-being, having a support network within the organization and the outside the organization also. Okay, so because as I've said in my presentation as well, yes, it appears that the issue is external and it is impacting us, but the way it impacts us is that it comes inside the organization and impacts every fabric of the organization and every fabric of the individuals in the organization. So I think that's psychological safety.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Manzoor. Over to you, Professor Fang. What are your recommendations?
So just quickly to add to previous two speakers is that it does affect the whole organization, and the HR capabilities of the organization need to be reconsidered. And that goes back to Kai Feng's talk earlier. And the capability is important. And also I wanted to add that the managers, especially the line managers, they're not very well trained and supported to provide support to employees during hard times, difficult times. And also line managers, they themselves are employees and they suffer a lot of the stress, secondary trauma, etc. So that's a lot to do to support them in terms of management development.
Thank you very much, Professor Fang.
Thank you.
Professor Kai Feng.
Sure. I just want to add one or 2 points. The first one, I want to emphasize protecting critical human capital, especially people who are both highly valuable, at the same time also highly mobile, right? So in uncertainty, organizations often focus on operational risk, but we should not forget the talent risk. Star employees usually have more outside options. I remember I had one project we try to understand when crisis happened, who are more likely to leave the organizations and go back to the home country. It turns out to be the high performers because they are more capable of finding these kind of opportunities. So often they carry client relationship, technical know-how, maybe informal networks, and the ability to help others perform, right? So companies need to identify their critical and exposed talent, including stars, and invest in retention, succession, really help them, not just themselves, but also their families. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Professor. I appreciate it. So as we come to the end of today's webinar, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our distinguished speakers, Professor Fang Li Cook, Professor Kaifeng Zhang, Dr. Manzoor, and Ms. Ilde for sharing your valuable insights and expertise on managing human capital under geopolitical uncertainty. And to reflect on this, I would say to some extent, we were able to briefly discuss the HR taxonomy across global issues from migration and mobility to the strategic HR level, operational, and then to the implementation of the best practices across the globe, basically, to a large extent. So I would like to also thank all of the HR division ambassadors from 5 countries who are on this call and contributed to organizing this event and making it a success. And a special thanks to our participants from around the world for joining us today and for their engagement in this session. So we hope you found today's discussion insightful and thought-provoking. This webinar is part of our ongoing effort to foster a scholarly dialogue and global collaboration within the HR community. And we look forward to bringing you more exciting webinars and events in the future. So please keep an eye on the HR Division Academy of Management LinkedIn page for upcoming webinars and the opportunities to engage with our global HR community. The recording of this webinar will be provided after the session and will be made available through the HR Division AOM channel. So thank you once again for joining us today. We wish you a wonderful day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.